THORPE Park are going to build a new roller coaster. Here are the facts. So they've announced they're going to build a new roller coaster. They are updating a public consultations website, and I guess public consultations are starting on the 10th of December. That's next Friday. This is probably going to be really similar to the recent Chessington announcement. And in that Chessington update, we received like full-blown plans and images, like side profiles and stuff of the actual coaster, which gave us an incredibly good idea on what it was. And we now know it is basically a B&M launched wing boomerang. Okay, so we'll probably get some really reasonable information next Friday. On Twitter, THORPE Park have posted about this, and they say that the roller coaster is going to be world class. Of course, that could just be marketing speak, but that is in itself promising. They've also sent out leaflets to local residents to THORPE Park and in like the Chertsey area. And in that leaflet, they go into a few more details, saying that the ride will be located in Old Town, which is a really key piece of information, and that the opening of the ride and the construction of the ride will entail the removal of some older rides. So those are all of the facts. I'm now going to talk about a few rumours. And I watch channels like Jack Silkstone and Theme Park Worldwide, and I'm on a few sort of Facebook forums and pages, so I'm sort of collating all of the information that I've had. One of the key pieces of information, I'm not sure how reliable this is. Sean Sandbrook did say it on his channel Theme Park Worldwide, so there may be some weight to it, but it is the rumour that Merlin have signed a multi-coaster deal with B&M. Some people are saying that they've purchased 3 coasters at the same time. Now, we already know that one of them is coming to Chessington. There are like 3 high-profile Merlin sort of flagship parks in the UK, the others being Alton Towers and, of course, THORPE Park. So it very much stands to reason that THORPE Park and Alton Towers could get the next 2 B&Ms. That is a really solid rumour, and I really like that idea, and I'll talk about it a little bit more about when I say what I want to see, and I've also drawn up some plans for what the layout might be, that sort of stuff. I'll talk about that in a minute as well. So that's another rumour. The other sort of rumour is that it could be an RMC. Now, an RMC is a really, really, really good fit for THORPE Park. They are extreme, thrilling. We don't have one in the UK, and I just think that style of ride would be a really, really good fit for THORPE Park. There was a teaser for RMC in the trailers Fright Nights Maze at THORPE Park in October 2021, where one of the crates in the sort of big house section of the maze said RMC 2022 on. There's no way this ride is going to be for 2022. It would need to have been built already. I think more likely this is going to be for 2023, possibly 2024. If 2023 is the year that the Chessington coasters expected to open, I think it would be surprising that they would open 2 brand new roller coasters so close to each other. But because the parks are owned by the same people. So I think that's less likely. I think we're probably looking at a 2024 ride. And I also think it partly comes down to the fact that this has been, or it will be, over a decade. It will be more than 10 years since THORPE Park had a new roller coaster installed at their park. So I think this is going to be a big one. Another rumour that Jack Silkstone picked up upon was the name Exodus. So this name is basically the only name, on the grabber machines near the arcade, there's loads of names of THORPE Park rides on the outside, or things that make sense in regards to THORPE Park. And this name was the only thing that sort of stood out and didn't make sense. So Exodus is a very good name for a ride. It's a perfectly marketable, and it sounds cool, it's snappy, and there's nothing else quite like it. So I think that makes perfect sense that could be the name. I'm not saying definitely, just giving my opinion that I think it's a really good name and could very well be what the next coaster will be called. Now, before I look at the sort of plans that I've drawn up and all this sort of thing, what I think is most likely is, I have to say B&M Hyper. I have to say B&M Hyper. I've always wanted a Hyper at THORPE Park, like a proper a B&M Hyper. In fact, I wanted a B&M Hyper in the UK for years. I think it's damn time that the UK gets one. I think it would be really interesting for THORPE Park to steal the highest ride in the UK record breaker from Blackpool Pleasure Beach. That is a record that has stood for since 1994. So it's going to be coming up to 30 years. That is a crazy amount of time for such a big world record, UK national record, to stand. It's really crazy. I'm surprised that another park hasn't wanted to take it already. It will have been over a decade as well since Thorpe Park installed a coaster, so it feels like they've sort of saved up that money and that time to invest huge in a massive coaster. So I think B&M Hyper is certainly one of the most likely, and it's certainly what I want to see most. I would also love to see an RMC. As I said earlier, I think it's a perfect fit for the park. But Hyper is where I think is most likely, especially with this rumour of the multi-buy. You know, we've seen parks buying multi-coasters or multiple coasters from companies before. And so this makes perfect sense with the news of Chessington getting a B&M as well. It all just fits up way too well. So if we have a look over at the plans that I've drawn up, again, shout out to Jack Silkstone, because on Twitter he posted this image of some tree removal. So first of all, this is going to be very crude. I'm not a professional artist or anything like this. So let's just show you this time lapse of a rough layout that I drew on Photoshop using some aerial images of Thorpe Park. So on this particular ride, this mega, I have put the station in Old Town, basically where the old Rocky Express was. Wait, is it Rocky Express? The train, Thorpe train, aka platform 15. I think that is the most obvious place for a station. The reason being, if it's going to be a hyper coaster, it's going to have a very long straight portion for the chain pull, and I think it makes sense that happens immediately after the station. Of course, you can curve into a chain pull. They do it at Thorpe on a couple of their coasters, but I think it makes most sense, and you know, it will utilise the cost the best way if it just goes straight from the station into the chain pull. And so you've got this incredibly long stretch out towards or down adjacent to Monk's Walk, where that's the platform 15 station is. So I strongly believe, no matter what we see, I think that'll be the station for the new ride, or at least the location for it. I'm not going to say they're reusing that station. That'll be the location. So it goes up. If it's going to be a world record, if it's going to be a national record breaker, it's got to be 250 feet, something like that. Blackpool Pleasure Beach's big one is 235 feet. And it makes perfect sense that they would go for 250. So then it swoops down in this first layout that I've done, and then up again into, say, probably a 200-foot bunny hill, whatever you want to call it. Dives back down and then into a big and large sweeping turnaround, which is where it comes roughly where the trees have been felled. Although with this particular layout, I didn't really have the trees being felled in mind. I look at that in my second layout. So it comes across here, up into another peak, and then it does a very large, almost 360 helix, quite close to the ground, maybe through the trees. I think that would be awesome. And then it comes up, and then it goes up over the lake in the middle of where Loggers Leap is now, and does some sort of similar stuff to Mako, this sort of sweeping in and out. Dives across all the way back over to Old Town, quite high above Old Town, and then curves back round, does some spins, and then back into the station. So not bad. Then with the second layout that I tried, I thought a little bit more about the tree clearance, and I think this is more likely. Obviously this is just pure guessing, speculation. I've considered basically the room that they have, where the station could likely be, and also the size. Thorpe Park, they're not going to build the biggest hypercoaster in the world. Of course they're not. But I think it has to be a decent size hyper. I view it as or what I can envision, I should say, is being somewhere along the lines of Mako, both in terms of length and in terms of feel as well, because there's some similarities here. The shape of the land that they've got is not too dissimilar from where Mako is based. And also you got the fact that Mako is basically surrounded by water as well. That is largely going to be the case with this ride as well. There's a lot of water around where this roller coaster is going to be, and I think they could utilise it, especially the lake in the middle of Logger's Leap. I think they can utilise that really well to have some great water interaction. So anyway, on with the show on this green layout. Station in the same place as I said. 250-foot chain pull, nice big drop down, then nice big airtime hill, I should say. I called it bunny hop or bunny hill earlier. Airtime hill, probably looking at like a 200-foot airtime hill here. Then comes back down into a turnaround. I'm seeing any kind of turnaround here, maybe a similar kind of turnaround to what they've got on Shambhala, or the crossing one on Mako as well, which is fairly similar to that. Something like that. I know I've drawn it almost similar to sort of Stealth here, but I'm seeing this being like maybe 150 feet or so. Comes back round, you go a little bit towards where you've just come from, then you curve back round to the right, and this is where you enter the zone where there's like where all the trees have been cut down. I think you've got quite a big sort of flat area there, and it makes sense. I mean, maybe they're clearing it just for access for cranes and construction vehicles and stuff, but I don't know, it makes sense to me that they would utilise that space for some of the intricacies of the ride. As I say, you've got so much water around here, there is only limited land that you can actually build on with total freedom. When you're going across the water, obviously there's more considerations in regards to foundations and everything. So you come back around into the area where they've felled some trees, some nice bunny hills this time, another nice turnaround, maybe envisioning something like an overbank turn or sort of cutback element here, diving under where you've just come, down under all those hills, and then into this lovely, again, I think the sweeping sort of style, graceful movement. I think that works really well over water, as we've seen in Mako, and then exactly the same as Mako, similar sort of things, coming back round the back, sort of near Monk's Walk, and then back into the station. That's what I would basically, I'm not sure if that is what I would like to see. I think that would be a great layout, great addition to the park. I actually would love to see a perimeter layout, so a mega that goes, or rather a hyper that goes all the way around the park. That is actually what I would love to see at Thorpe. However, with this information that they've revealed so far, they've basically said the ride is going to be an old town, so I don't think we'll be seeing a perimeter coaster. I think this is among the more likely sort of stuff that we'll see. So thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think we're going to see in the comments below? And I'll see you next time. Cheers.